I never thought I'd find myself crying on the kitchen floor over something that had once brought me the purest joy. Life has a strange way of turning the sweetest moments into the most heartbreaking memories. And for me, it all began the night I realized that the person who truly saw me truly understood. Me wasn't the man I had married. It was his brother. My name is Rachel Morgan. 3 years ago, my husband Daniel left for a business trip overseas and never came back. He didn't call, he didn't even video chat. Just one day I received an email, a cold, emotionless message that read, "I won't be returning. I need space. Please don't try to find me." That was it. 12 years of marriage, reduced to a few liners typed without any warmth there. I sat there staring at the screen, waiting for some kind of follow-up, some explanation, but it never came. At first, I was numb. Then came the anger, followed by the grief. Cried so much, I thought I'd run out of tears. And through it all, the house became quieter. The walls echoed with memories that hurt more than comforted. I stopped cooking. I stopped playing piano. I barely left the bedroom. I simply stopped living. A week after Daniel's disappearance, his younger brother Jason showed up at my doorstep. He didn't say much, just looked at me with those calm eyes of his and asked if I needed help. I was too exhausted. To refuse, I let him in. He made coffee. He fixed the leaky faucet Daniel had promised to take care of months ago. He even took out the trash without mesking, in a time when everything felt like it was falling apart. Jason was the only thing that held steady. Jason was nothing like Daniel. Where Daniel was loud and charming, Jason was quiet and dependable. Where Daniel thrived on attention, Jason seemed most comfortable in silence. Over the next few weeks, Jason came by every day. He'd bring groceries, fix whatever was broken, and sometimes just sit with me in the living room while I cried or stared into space. He never judged, he never pressured. He was just there. One night after a particularly hard day, I sat on the porch in my robe sipping a glass of wine. Their stars were out and the air was cool. Jason joined me without a word. We sat there for a while in silence before finally spoke. "Why are you doing all this?" "Jason, you don't have to fix my life." He turned to me and said, "I'm not here to fix you. I'm just here because I care." I looked at him, really looked at him, and something shifted. That night, for the first time in a long time, I felt safe. Weeks turned into months. I started picking myself back up. I began cooking again. I played piano in the evenings. I even started laughing at Jason's dry humor. And with every passing day, I felt the distance between us closing. The tension was subtle, but it was there in the way he looked at me, in the way his hand would brush against mine and linger just a little too long. One night after dinner, I was washing dishes when Jason came up behind me and quietly dried the plate I had just rinsed. We moved in rhythm, like we had done it 1,000 times before. I looked up at him and said, "Don't go yet. Just stay a little longer." He paused, then nodded. Okay, we sat in the living room, a movie playing in the background that neither of us was watching. My head rested on his shoulder. When the credits rolled, I whispered, "Don't stop being here, Jason. I need you." His response was simple, but powerful. "I won't." From that night on, things changed. We didn't speak about it directly, but we both knew. We shared stolen glances, lingering touches, and moments of vulnerability that neither of us had ever shown before. Jason never pushed. He always waited for me to lead. Months later, while going through Theatic, I found a box of Daniel's things. Inside was a letter addressed to me. My hands trembled as I unfolded it. The words inside shook me to my core. Daniel had written that he had left because he believed I had stopped loving him. He mentioned Jason's name. He wrote that he'd seen the way Jason looked at me, even during our wedding, and he couldn't live with the idea that I might love someone else more than him. I sat with that letter for hours. At first, guilt crept in. Had I loved Jason all along? Was I blind to it? Or had my heart simply found its way to someone who had been there when everything else fell apart that evening? I confronted Jason. I held the letter out at him and asked, "How long have you felt this way?" He didn't flinch. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Since the day you walked down the aisle, but I buried it because I respected your marriage. It never meant for you to find out like this. But when Daniel left, and I saw how broken you were, I couldn't stay away. I didn't come to replace him. I came because I couldn't bear to see you alone." I nodded slowly. I begged you not to stop, and you didn't. We stood in silence for a moment before I stepped closer and wrapped my arms around him. He held me like I was something precious, something worth waiting for. 3 years have passed since that night. Jason never stopped showing up. He never stopped caring. He never stopped loving me in the quiet, steadfast way that only he could. We built something new together, not on the ruins of my past, but on the hope of something better. Sometimes love doesn't come in the way we expect. It doesn't always arrive with fireworks or grand declarations. Sometimes it comes softly, silently. It waits patiently until we're ready, until we whisper through broken tears, "Don't stop." And if we're lucky, it never does.